Hey, awesomes! Welcome to week 6, English 3050 online technical communications. All right, so looking at your WikiHows right now, and I'll be responding to your emails. Hopefully, you get them all done today. I am still working on Project 1A final drafts, so I'm going to take a break from those today and until I get the WikiHow stuff done. Because you obviously need that right away for your revisions and then also for the usability test that's due this Sunday. So I'll talk to you a little bit about what to think about this week and kind of go over the website, usability.gov, that is on our reading, kind of give you some hints of where you might want to focus your energies as far as looking at that website, because it's quite extensive, and you don't necessarily need to spend the 5-6 hours reading every single thing on that website for this week. And so recall from last week, we didn't do a discussion board posting, but I did want us to still think about this week some of the stuff that we read, so I'm going to make a few notes, I guess, to you, or indicate some things to be thinking about for this week. All right, hope that all makes sense. It makes sense in my head sometimes, and maybe doesn't always translate, so I apologize for that. So I hope you all had a good weekend. Welcome to week 6. Hope your Monday's off to a good start. All right, so speaking of getting started, let's start. Here's our home page for our online course. So let's go to the weekly modules. And so let's start with week 5, because as I said, we're going to kind of transition from last week into this week talking about usability. And usability, as we read last week in Writing for Your Readers, right? Usability is all about this, all about what we read in Chapter 6 in Writing for Your Readers. And so, not that you have to go back and reread it, but I do want you to be thinking about that, because one thing I think that Markel does in that chapter of Writing for Your Readers is talk about how it's important to use in using basic organizational patterns. And we might go even further back into the semester and think about how we've talked about even with the resume. And remember that we learned in talking about the resume that what was important about the resume is that we can be in control of the document, a la Kramer and Bernhardt, that we can kind of guide the reader through how we want them to read it, right? How we want to, of course, we had other things we had to think about for that, right? The 20-second test, maybe we did the quadrant test, maybe we thought about finding those keywords. And we also thought about, okay, who's scanning this? Is it going to be a computer? Is it going to be an individual? Kind of planning for both of those things. And so WikiHow presents us with a particular way, kind of helps us with the organizational patterns, in that the WikiHow has a very set format, right, for that genre. And so if we can best suit what it is that we're instructing someone to do by using those basic things, the basic genre features that WikiHow has, then our pages will be that much stronger. So I want you to be thinking about those things, and we might want to think about, too, when writing for our readers, how those headings work, right? You know, we look at a WikiHow, look at some of the other WikiHow pages, for example. Let's do that right now, as a matter of fact. So here's one that I just stumped that was like on the very first page of WikiHow, and so I thought, well, this is a really good example where this one here is broken into methods as well as steps, and then you can notice the introduction, right? It's how to do this, right? Of course, we're inputting a lot of this information. First, we have a picture that's followed by step 1. It has an explanation followed by a few bullet points, all right? Then you have the second picture followed by the step 2. Also, it's got its title, if you will, followed by a couple of sentences, also a bullet point. And notice here on this particular, the genre features here, it's very, very consistent, right? This is kind of one of those pages that is a really, really, really good example of writing for the readers of WikiHow, because every single person that goes on and reads these is going to read in this way. Here's the picture, and notice how the picture also is right above the step. The step can be read and interpreted, right? And then you have method 2 in this particular case, step 1. And I like the use of the bullet points, where here's the things that's going on here that you're kind of doing. And then there's like either a caveat or something else that has to do with what they're doing as an extra step in the process. Not an extra step in the process, but maybe something to think about that step, about this step in this process, okay? So this is a really good formatted page here for the genre of WikiHow, so just FYI. So let's go back to week 5. So that's kind of writing for our readers a lot of times has to do with taking into consideration the genre to which we are writing as well, and that's part of that organizational structures that I think that Markel does a good job of telling us about. Okay, so let's go back to weekly modules and let's get into week 6 here and talk about usability.gov, because this week we're going to be doing usability. And so when you go to usability.gov, it's a big website. There's a lot of stuff going on, but I'm going to give you a couple of hints of things to read. So, sorry about that. So when you go on to the very first page, you got the basics of user experience. And the basics of user experience will really put down a really nice solid foundation here. This is it's not a long page, all right? And that's that is what I want you to kind of focus on, the user experience basics. And then click on methods right up here, all right? And this is also a big page, but I'm just going to highlight a couple of things, all right? There is planning, which is right here on the right, planning a usability test, which you are going to be doing. And then there's reporting a usability test, which you are also going to be doing this week. So I want you to read those two. So here's planning a usability test. These are things that you want to think about. Elements of a test plan, your scope, your purpose, schedule, location, your schedule, right, your sessions, your equipment, participants, all the things that you should be thinking about and how you might want to test those things, right? And then, of course, you have to write, we're going to write the usability report memo. All right, so reporting usability test results, right? It's going to do some data analysis. It gives us some things to think about, quantitative versus qualitative. And then writing the usability test report. Of course, we're going to write this, it's going to be in a memo format to me, and I'll talk a little bit more about the memo later on in the week. But here are the kind of the major sections for organization. Your background, your summary, methodology. You have your test results, your findings, and your recommendations. And this would be here where you would talk about what you're going to revise, right, based on the results of your usability test. And of course, this here is going to, if you're going to implement, you're going to retest. We don't have time to retest here. And then talking about visuals to illustrate specific points, because you may have things. Not only you won't not necessarily use that in your report to me, but you might have things to think about in revising, right, your graphics for this week. All right, so let's see if we can make it back here. So those are the two sections, or the three sections, right, that I want you to read on usability.gov. Those are most important. Basics of user experience, read that page. Go into methods and read planning a usability test and reporting a usability test. Those are the sections on which to focus this week. And then, of course, we're thinking about pictures, and there's a chapter here we're reading this week about creating graphics, and so there are some helpful hints in Markel as well that might help us think about if there are other ways that we can better represent or graphically in anything that we do. But obviously, we're thinking this week about how we might incorporate graphics in the WikiHow project. All right, okay. So I'm going to put myself back here in the middle if this will cooperate. Oh, here we go. Hey, guys. All right, so those are the main things, right? Thinking about writing for our readers as we're thinking about testing this week, because that's what you'll need to do. I'm going to get you feedback as quickly as possible, hopefully by the end of the day. Everyone who submitted a WikiHow link, I will look at it and provide you some feedback. You'll take that feedback. You can go ahead and make some adjustments and try to get your pictures up and get the rest of your steps done. Get that done, and then get a usability test in this week. Someone's actually going to either use your instructions to make the thing, design the thing, create the thing that you've got. You will have planned a test for that. You'll want to have some sort of a documentation that you can refer to, and then to write that report based on the usability.gov's organizational structure there that we just looked at on the page. Okay, so that's basically kind of an overview of the week. I'll be back with more specifics on some of those items, like the memo itself, and planning and reporting and things to think about as we move forward. Okay. All right. So 9 minutes, 31 seconds. Okay. So we'll cut this off right here. Have a great week, everyone. As always, please let me know if there's more that I can do for you. Email me. Come see me during my office hours. Set an appointment. Whatever I can do. Just holler if you need anything else from me, and I'll be in touch. Have a great week. Thanks for watching. Bye.